What's going on, everybody? This is the Undefeated by Choice podcast brought to you by Still Fist Fights. Oh, man. I'm sure all of you are so sick and tired of hearing me talk about my favorite topic. I'm obsessed with this story with Diego Sanchez. I am obsessed with him and Joshua Fabia. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with this story. I'm just intrigued with everything about it. I watch every single interview I can. I'm trying to figure out what is going on in the world and how these two, what it is that these two are doing. And I think I figured it out. I think I have figured it out. I think I know what it is now. At first I was saying brain damage, which I still think is a very real thing, very serious, and I will stand by that. There's no way in my mind that there is not CTE. You don't get in that many battles and that many wars and just live a life like that and not have something wrong, something going on. So I stand by that still. And then I said that, Fabia is this. He's a snake oil salesman, and he's tricked Diego, and he's done all this terrible. He's gotten into his head, and he's tricked him into believing that he's this guru. But now I think I know what it is. I've watched many interviews today, and I finally think I know what is going on with these two. But before I get into any of that, April 4th. Still Fist fight card. We have a kickboxing event coming up, and I just looked up the date, and now I forgot, and I can't look it up because it's on my phone. My phone is used to record this. So we have kickboxing coming up, but then we have our next fights, MMA, April 4th, and I did remember the other fight that I saw announced, and I don't know how I forgot this fight because I'm super excited for this fight. The LJ Schultz, Warren. These two, if you don't know, these two camps in Utah, One Hit and Maury's Academy, they're like the Hatfield and McCoys. These two camps do not like each other. These two owners are it's pretty legendary, the beef between these two. There's just a dislike for each other, and I know both the guys, and I like them. Both of them. They've both shown nothing but absolute respect to me and to the Still Fist organization. So, it's one of these things that you're like, rivalries are good. They breed good competition. It's hard when you like both parties involved, though. It's one of those things where you watch from a distance, and you're like, this is fun, but you're like, let's just keep it fun, But for them, it's very serious business. So, Warren last stepped in the cage against Justin Horsley, won via submission, and in his call-outs, he called out LJ Schultz and the other wussies from One Hit, where his exact words, quote, his exact words, his words, not mine. And so LJ accepted the fight immediately, and now they're set to rumble April 4th for Still Fist. So, most importantly, that fight, that card, get ready for it. Go get your tickets now, stillfistfight.com. All right, now back to my favorite topic. When this all goes away, I'll be so sad because I won't have anything to talk about. I'll just be left talking about nothing. But okay, so I finally figured it out. I finally figured out what this is and what the dynamic between these two are. And this is what it is. I was watching an interview they did with John Morgan. If you don't know who John Morgan is right off the bat, he works with MMA Junkie and one of the best Instagrams and news outlets for MMA media. He's the guy that every time you watch a press conference, he's the first question. He has the first questions every time. It's as soon as they open up the press conference, John Morgan's the first voice that you hear 99% of the time. So if you don't know who he is, just watch a press conference. He's the first guy asking the questions. And he asks really good questions. like every once in a while, I think he does the reporter thing where he does ask some softball questions so he can, meet the quota on whatever they need to ask and have to ask. But then he usually has some really good. A lot of them are just fun questions, but they're good questions. Some of them are deep questions, and he's not afraid to. He's not afraid to ask some of the tougher questions, but he does it in a really good way that it doesn't seem to offend the fighters, and he seems to have a good relationship with the fighters, and they're more open and willing to answer his questions. So he had on a radio show, he had Diego and Joshua, and they were doing their thing, talking, and Diego kept saying, so Joshua, man, this is trying to put this all together. So Joshua kept saying, like, all the stuff's online. You can go online. You can check out my achievements online. You can go to the website. You can do this, you can do this. And what I noticed, I kept hearing it every time he said it, like spiked in my mind. Go to the website. And then Diego gets on there, and Diego starts talking, and he says, if you want to know what we're all about, book us for a seminar, and we'll come down, and we'll do a seminar for you, and we'll document it. And that's when it clicked. This is Diego's retirement plan. This is Diego's exit strategy. His plan was to build up Fabia as this guru who can do it all, who can cure diseases, who can, enlighten your mind, who can get you on the right track, who can get you in the right spiritual, physical state of being, who can just teach you everything you need to know. And they were going to go, and they're going to go do these seminars, and Fabia will be the guru, the leader, and Diego would be the example, the number one client. And they're going to go around, and they're going to teach these seminars, and they're going to make lots of money doing it. And so I think what the original plan was I think they originally decided they were going to do this, and they wanted to do it out of Jackson Wink's, and they wanted to just make it part of the Jackson Wink program where they can do these seminars. People can come to Jackson Wink and be part of the team or whatever. And I think Jackson Wink was like, hell no, that's not what we're doing. We're about MMA. We're about training fighters. We're about getting fighters ready for fights. We ain't doing any of that other stuff. And so Diego and Joshua said, okay, we'll go do it on our own. And I think the thought was, okay, Diego, you are one of the most well-known fighters on the planet. You've been in the game longer than anybody. You've got, you were the first season of the Ultimate Fighter winner. You are a legend. You don't really need a whole lot of coaching. You've probably heard everything that every coach has ever had to that every coach has ever done. So the plan is, you don't really need a corner man. You're going to go in and you're going to win. But what we're going to do is we're going to have Joshua say some woke bullshit. We're going to have him say some crazy things in the corner. So when you do go out and you do win, and people are asking, what was that all about? You can say, let us come teach you. Let us come teach you what this is all about. Let us come teach you. And you're going to keep a mystery behind it. And people are going to have to pay to find out this mystery. And you're going to come down and you're going to do these seminars and teach people the secrets of Fabia and what he has to give to people. And it really was this trick of Diego was going to win because Diego is a good fighter. And we were going to pretend like it was Joshua who was doing it for him. And then the two of them were going to go out and they were going to teach to the masses. But it didn't work out like that, right? Diego goes out, he loses to Chiesa. He goes out, he beats Mickey Gall, it's Mickey Gall. I've never been too impressed with him. And then he goes and he loses to Michel Pereira. and just looks weird and goofy in that fight and looks off. And so now they're like, oh crap, this isn't working. And now Fabio is looking stupid because his woke bullshit that he's saying in the corner, because he really doesn't know what he's talking about, is not working. So now they're going on this campaign to say it's a smear campaign, and everyone's trying to bury them, and everyone's trying to. No, we just aren't we're not putting up with the bullshit. We're not being tricked. We're not being fooled. And he's acting like he's the first coach in MMA who's been exposed. No, man. No, you're not. Do you remember Ronda Rousey's trainer, her coach, who actually knew about boxing somewhat? You know, he actually knew a little bit about MMA, but he was not a good MMA coach. And what he was having Ronda do was not good. And the MMA community ran him off, ran him away. The MMA community is protective of itself. It's protected. We're protective of each other. And when we spot bullshit, we call bullshit. When we see bullshit, we point it out and we kick it out. We get rid of it. So we're seeing it again. Someone who's not qualified to be training a fighter, and we're calling him out on it. And he goes on these shows and he attacks the media. He attacks all the people, all the pundits, everything. But yet they're sitting there as nice as they can. They're letting him talk. They're letting him get his word out. And he's attacking him. He is the classic, I don't want to say narcissist, because everyone throws that freaking word around. And it's insane how, everyone is a freaking narcissist. So, but he is ego driven. He is obsessed with himself. He's obsessed with thinking of himself and how great he is. Every comment is how amazing he is, and how stupid everyone else is, and how terrible everyone else is, and how he's just here on this planet to wake people up. This guy's an egomaniac. And he's attacking the people who are now letting him talk, letting him have his words. And they're doing their best, which is, hats off to them, but also super stressful to watch because no one's putting him in check. And they're being as nice as they can to him. I guess Ariel Helwani did put him in check, and I've been searching. I saw a clip of him going back at him and kind of going off on him. And I've been searching to find that. If anyone has a link to that, please send it to me. Because I can't find it. I've been looking for it all over YouTube. The link of Ariel firing back at him. But everyone else has just been super accommodating to him and just trying to get him to say his piece. And no one's putting him in check. But yeah, doing it is also a benefit because he's hanging himself. He's showing his true colors, and they're showing their true colors of what is actually going on through all this. So, it's a good thing, but it's also super frustrating because I just want someone to smack this guy and, put him in his place because he's out of line with 90% of the stuff he says is just out of line. It's disrespectful to everyone. And it's just this fake woke comments that I see a lot. I call them modern day hippies a lot, and I give a lot of crap to them. I have a friend that I'm always I do this character where I'm a fake woke hippie and I talk about crystals and all that stuff. And he's bringing it to his philosophy in MMA. So a lot of MMA people who aren't really familiar with it are just like totally like, what is he talking about? But I've heard this before. I've seen this before. I know a lot of people who talk like he does. Talk about slowing down time and space and expanding your essence and your energy into a realm that's not of this world, and inside of this world and outside of this world at the same time, and where time stands still. And he's saying all this, but And he's saying that he's teaching Diego to do all this, and it's not showing because Diego's getting his ass whooped in the ring. He's not slowing down time. He's getting punched in the face by Michel Pereira, and you know, he's getting worked, and he's not moving well, and he says things like, Diego has seen me walk barefoot in the Holy Land, all across the expansion, the entire Holy Land, and never stumble and never fall. What are you talking about? He's seen me walk barefoot through the Holy Land and not stumble. I walk around every day and I don't trip over things. That's not impressive. That doesn't make you a specialist in fighting. Like, I don't fall either, bro. I don't. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's this fake woke. And so, and you can tell, like, the way that Diego tries to sell it, it's funny to watch. Like, you'll see Diego, and I saw him on an interview with the Schmo, and he was talking about BJ Penn and that whole incident where he got drunk and in a fight, and Diego was talking fast and he's stumbling over his words, and he's just talking like Diego talks, and he's just doing his thing, and he's not really making a whole lot of sense because he's excited to kind of whatever have the camera on him. I don't know what it is, but he just seems excited. He's talking and he's passionate about it because he loves BJ Penn, and he's trying to defend him, and he's stumbling over, just doing his thing, but then when he talks about Joshua, when he starts talking about the things that Joshua has done for him, he slows down his speech and he starts talking in a very relaxing, monotone voice. But it's also like it hurts him. It also looks like it's hurting him to talk like that. He gets real tight-faced and he'll be like, I believe that Joshua is teaching me to be a better being, a human. And it's just like, so fake. It's so calculated. It's such a act that it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for both of them. And Joshua himself is this fake guru. Okay, because, he talks about, he's acting like he's this, he can be this peaceful guy who can teach you how to just exist in energy and have the light of the world inside of you. But then also he's a human. He doesn't have that. He has anger. He's pissed. He's pissed that his plan isn't working. He's pissed that no one's buying it. So he's just on the defense, just yelling at the fucking world because he's so embarrassed of everything that's going on, and he's trying to salvage his business. And so he's just angry, and yet he's trying to tell us that he's this holy man that can do all this amazing stuff, and he's changed all these people's lives. He's just a charlatan. He's just a phony. He's fake. And I know everyone knows. I know I'm not teaching anybody anything new, but I'm saying, like, this is what's going on. This is what's happening, is that they had this business plan that is not going as planned, and they're both trying to salvage it because they both put all their eggs in this basket. They both put everything they have in this basket. And, he comes with these clients. He says he's helped thousands of people around the world, and he has this Army Ranger. He had John Morgan read this letter from this Army Ranger, and this Army Ranger is saying that he's trained MMA all across the world, and the things that Joshua has taught him are things that he's never learned in MMA before, and things that are more applicable than he's ever learned in his entire life. Okay, I've seen some of the Fabia videos, training videos, and he's teaching people to grab people by the testicles and squeeze the testicles and grab the throat and gouge the eyes. In a life or death situation, yes, that is way better than teaching somebody a ankle lock or teaching somebody a guillotine. I saw a video of these two kids that were fighting in a high school bathroom, and the kid gets a kid in a deep guillotine, and the kid in the guillotine grabs the other kid by the balls, and the kid with the deep guillotine lets go and just starts screaming, "Let go of my balls, let go of my balls." That's a real life situation where in real life, that's how you defend the guillotine. In the life or death situation, that's how you defend getting choked out. You grab someone by the testicles or you gouge their eyes out. Game over. So if you're teaching people that, well then yeah, you are teaching them better. But in MMA, you can't do that. That doesn't exist. That doesn't happen. So he has this guy saying that he's taught him better things than he's ever learned in MMA. Well, of course he has, because he's not teaching MMA. He's teaching, self-defense for real life situations and life or death situations. So yeah, I can agree with that. I can say that, yeah, that he probably did teach that Army Ranger something better, because he's teaching grab him by the balls. So, that letter means nothing to me, because I'm talking about MMA. We're talking about MMA. You want to be a guru, you want to teach people to energize their crystals, you want to teach them how to meditate, you want to teach them how to do some yoga, you want to teach them how to eat healthy, go ahead, do that. That's fine. Get out of MMA. This is not your golden ticket. This is not how you're going to sell seminars. You're being exposed for the phony that you are when it comes to MMA. You want to teach self-defense classes and have people grabbing everyone by the balls and gouging eyes out? Go ahead. More power to you. There's plenty of people teaching that. There's plenty of people teaching self-defense classes that do that type of stuff and whatever. Go ahead. That's more power to you. But get out of MMA. You're not a cornerman. You're not teaching anybody MMA. So then they have this argument or they have this story of how they met and how they went 80% on the concrete, and Fabia got Diego in an armbar. Well, Diego's never really been known for his jiu-jitsu. He's a good wrestler, but he's not really been known for his jiu-jitsu. He's a striker, so I mean, catching him in an armbar is not completely out of this realm. And going 80% and catching somebody in an armbar is not really out of this world. If I go 80%, I'm a white belt. If that, I'm a white belt. I haven't trained the ground as much as I'd like to. I love it, but I'm more of a wrestler, and I'm a white belt. If I was to go up against a blue belt, even a purple belt, and we were to go 80%, so they're not going their full percent on me. They're not going 100% on me. If I'm going 80% with them, and I get into a situation in that 80%, and I get into the position where I might be able to lock in an armbar, and for 2 seconds I go 100% just to get a hold of the arm, just to get it in position, just to grab a hold of it. Well, then I've just put a purple belt or a blue belt in an armbar. Like, does that make sense to what I'm saying? Like, and you're not going to be able to say, did you just go 100% for 3 seconds? No, you're going to go, oh, we were going 80% and you caught me? No, I cheated. I went 100% to get you in the armbar. But, it wasn't super aggressive to the point where you could tell that I was going 100%. Like, there's a way to, like, to cheat if you're just going 80%. Like, you see it all the time when you're sparring with somebody and you're only going like 50% or something, and you sneak a punch in at 70%. You sneak a punch in at 80%, and then immediately you go back to 50%, and they're like, "Oh, you just caught me." But they're not really going to like call you out on, was that really 50% of what you have? Like, we see it all the time. So that whole story is like, okay, he caught you. He caught someone who's not really known for their jiu-jitsu. Maybe he's practiced jiu-jitsu, and he's, it's a technique that he knows. It's a technique he's comfortable with. You're going 80%. You get into that position. You're not, really, you're Diego Sanchez. You're probably thinking he's not going to catch you in anything, so you're not really even worried about it. And then boom, he catches you, and all of a sudden you've changed your life. This guy changed your life because he caught you in an armbar. And it sounds to me like I wouldn't put it past him to be a cheater to go, 100% when you're saying you're going 80 anyways. Like, this is what this guy is. He's an egomaniac. He don't want to lose, even if he is going against Diego Sanchez. So, I'm not buying it. I'm convinced that this is what it is. This is his retirement plan. They want it. Lastly, this is what I truly think is going to happen. And mark my words, mark the calendar. right now, this is what happens. Because when I'm listening to him talk, I'm like, you know who this reminds me of? This reminds me of that Bikram yoga guy, the guy that started the hot yoga and then ended up doing all these seminars and just spending the whole time sexually assaulting all the females. Like, this is what I see happening if these two get together and they start doing seminars. Something like that is going to happen. Like, Diego's getting freshly divorced, and all of a sudden Fabia comes rolling into his life, and all of a sudden they start this whole scheme together. And I could just see Fabia in his ear just being like, think of all the girls we're going to get, man. Just me and you. I'm the guru. You're the number one client. We're going to be teaching people how to live better lives. They're going to be so thankful to us. Like, maybe that's too far. Maybe I'm going too far, and maybe I'll get called out on this. And because that's a pretty terrible thing to accuse people of, or to put on somebody. So maybe I'll pull that back. But I mean, it's out there already. I don't know. We'll see. I could be wrong. Maybe he is the savior of the world. I don't know. I'm just obsessed with this story, man. I'm obsessed with it. I'm going to be talking about this until the day I die. I honestly, Diego's been was talking a lot about everyone else talking about the CTE comments, and he's blowing it off like he doesn't have it. That's dangerous, bro. You have it. There's no way you don't. Looking at the way you talk, looking at how you're acting, watching everything that's going on, you have it, man. You have it. It may not be to the point where it's life-threatening and to the point where, you're doing things like Aaron Hernandez or Chris Benoit or, anybody who suffered from it. Junior Seau, you may not be to that point. It may not be that bad, but you have it. There's no doubt about it. You have it. So let's not pretend that. And Fabia came in at the right time, and I just, this is it, man. This is I promise you, this is their plan, is to make money doing these seminars where he's the guru and he's going to teach everyone how to just live in the universe with the energies and crystals and burning sage and all that woke, fake, or modern day hippie bullshit. So, yeah, I don't know. That's where I'm at this week. I keep reporting them. I keep talking about this. I can't. I'm obsessed with it. It's just so interesting. But anyways, we have fights tomorrow night. And this card, oh man. So I was doing my bets for this card. The problem with me placing my bets on my DraftKings account is that there's so many mismatches. There's so many odds that are highly in someone else's favor that I don't know if you know how it works, but you only get a certain amount of you get a certain amount of points, and each fighter is worth a certain amount of points depending on the odds. So if the odds are really high in their favor, then they're going to be worth a lot more. So you can't just bet on everybody that you think is going to win. You have to kind of play the upsets because you only have so many points to play with. The problem is there's so many. The odds are in so many of these fights. Like Felicia Spencer, the odds for her winning are huge. She's one of the top ones. Megan Anderson, another one. Her odds of winning are way above Norma Dumont's. Grant Dawson, his odds of fighting or winning over Derek Minor are way high. What are the other ones that are like that? I believe Ishmael Nardiev, he's the very first fight of the night, and his odds are way above Sean Brady's. So, it was kind of hard to make my picks for my bets this time. just because I had to pick a lot of upsets and like fights I necessarily didn't think the other person was going to win, but I had to go with them. But I did pick Figueiredo to win. He came in overweight, so he's not fighting for the belt. And there was a lot of at the end of the last year or in the middle of last year, there was lots of like fighters missing weight, and there was like a statistic coming out that like fighters who miss weight end up winning a lot more. So I went with him because he's got a lot of power. He comes in a little bigger. I mean, he's coming in bigger than Joseph. He's already known for power, so that is a huge benefit in his favor to already have the power advantage, and then to, on top of that, now have more power because he's heavier. So, and he came in 2 pounds heavier, which might have been 2.5 pounds heavier. So that's a decent advantage when you then again you get to blow up still. So, but Joseph Benavidez skill for days. I mean, he's well rounded all over the place. He can strike, he can wrestle, and he chains it together really well. Figueiredo is more of a counter striker. Joseph Benavidez is more of a he attacks more, so he's going to be lunging forward. So yeah, he can definitely catch him first, and Figueiredo is going to be looking for the counter. So, but explosive power, both of them, very dangerous fight. Could go either way. But just because of the betting odds, I went. I thought that was going to be one of the upsets because Davison is the underdog in that fight. Not by much, but he is the underdog. And I think he has this advantage because he's got the power. But I could be totally wrong with that one and lose all my money. Felicia Spencer versus Sarah Farron. Felicia is... she's a beast, man. She's got great jiu-jitsu, excellent jiu-jitsu. And then, she can take a beating. She ain't getting knocked out. She fought Chris Cyborg and went the distance with her and was getting beat the whole time. I mean, there was not a moment in that fight where she was really winning it, and she was in it the whole time, just fighting. So, she's a huge favorite, heavy favorite. The Ion Kutalaba versus Magomed and Khalif. I mean, I think Magomed's going to win that fight. But again, I had to pick Kutalaba just because I think if he does get a finish, it's going to be a knockout in the first round, and that gets you a lot of points. So, but I didn't have the points to go for Magomed because Magomed, his only loss was to I can't remember who his only loss was to. I could look it up. But the thing was he was winning the fight, like dominating the fight the entire time. He was just putting a beating on this guy, Paul Craig. And it was Paul Craig. And he was just putting a beating on him. Paul really had no answer to him. Magomed, he's just taking him down, ground and pound, standing above him, beating him down. But Paul Craig's a killer on the ground. And like in the last second of the fight, like it was the last 7 seconds, he caught him and caught him in a submission. So it was like that's his only loss to date. And Kutalaba's powerful, he's explosive, he's fast. If he gets a knockout, it's gonna be in the first round. If it goes past that, he's most likely gonna gas out and he won't win. Magomed can go deep into the round, so he's got the cardio for it. So he's a good bet. Megan Anderson versus Norma Dumont. Norma Dumont hasn't fought for like 2 years, I believe. At least a year, but I think it's probably been 2 years. She's got some decent jiu-jitsu. I believe she's a purple belt. Striking's not great. Nothing really to write home about. Megan Anderson's a great striker. But I haven't been super impressed with her in the UFC. She fought Holly Holm. Holly Holm wrestled her the whole time, became a wrestler, wrestled her the whole time. Then she fought Kat Zingano, and she got a win over her because she kicked her in the eyeball and won fair and square. It was within the rules. She didn't cheat, but she kicked her in the eye, and it, cut her iris or something, and they ended up having to stop the fight due to that. That's not on Megan at all, but we didn't really get to see if that's how that fight would, if she was winning that fight. It was the very, one of the very first kicks of the fight. I believe it was the very first. No, I don't know, but it was, it was like within the first couple seconds she kicked her. So we didn't really get to see if that's how the fight would have gone down. But a win over Kat Zingano makes her look real good. Then she fought Felicia Spencer and just got rear naked choked real quick. So then we thought she had no ground game. Then she fights Zara Farron, who's fighting Felicia Spencer. She fights Zara, and she submits Zara. So, she's a 50-50 fighter in the UFC so far, but she's 14-4, I believe. So she's got some fights. She's a good fighter. And her striking is her best asset. Norma's striking is her least best, but she's pretty good in the clinch, and she's gonna look to take her down and try to submit her. I doubt she's gonna try to stand with her. Grant Dawson versus Derek Minner. Man, Grant is this huge favorite, and I do not understand why. I watched his fight on the Contender Series. I was not impressed. I watched some of his early fights. I was not impressed. And Derek Minner, I was not impressed with anything he had either. But he's got a grundle of first-round finishes. He's got a ton of first-round finishes. These two are from the same area. They've been, dodging each other on the local scene for a while. I guess there's some heat between them. I don't like how either of them fight. I wouldn't have put I didn't bet on either of them. I didn't put my money on it because I just thought, man, that looks like it just looks terrible. Like I said, Grant Dawson is the huge, heavy favorite in that fight, but Derek's got a ton of first round finishes. I don't know how. I've watched his fights. I don't know how it happens. He doesn't look clean. But he finishes lots of people. So if you want to put your money there, go ahead. He's expected to win. On the prelims, Gabriel Silva, Kyler Phelps, don't know nothing about them. Brendan Allen versus Tom Breese, don't know nothing about them. Marcin Tybura versus Sergey Spivak. Sergey's most recent win was against Tai Tuivasa. Neither of these guys really impressed me. I guess Marcin's coming off like a 3-fight losing streak, I believe. Let me check real quick, make sure I got that right. Coming off a... Let me check for you. Yes, he's coming off a 3-fight losing streak. Oh, no, 2-fight losing streak. So his last win was against Stefan Stroop in 2018. Then he lost to two guys whose names I don't. Well, he lost to just two random heavyweights that aren't really. I don't know how to pronounce their names. You can look it up. So yeah, that fight, it's heavyweights, could go either way. One punch landing, but most likely Sergey is going to win that fight, would be my guess. Then you got Luis Peanut versus Steve Garcia. Luis this is his third opponent for this card. People kept dropping out. He showed up, didn't even know if he had a fight because he found out before he got on the plane that his fight got canceled and they were searching for somebody, so he showed up, showed up anyways. Most likely he's going to get the win. He's fighting Steve Garcia, who likes to move forward and throw punches and bunches, and he's a tough guy. But Lewis is, someone moves forward, and Lewis's clinch work is amazing. He's got great knees. He's got good trips. He's going to take you down. His jiu-jitsu is second to none. He can choke you and twist you up from the weirdest positions. So I Lewis, my money's on him to finish this fight. When you're a fighter that marches forward, and you got someone who's got good clinch, good takedowns, and good ground, that's not a great technique. So, my money's on Lewis. Jordan Griffin versus TJ Brown. Looking both these guys up, they're pretty evenly matched. Records are similar, I believe, and the odds are pretty much even on them because they're pretty evenly matched. So that should be a good fight. That's probably a fight of the night. Not a good one to put your money on, or not fight of the night. Probably going to go the distance, and that's not a good one to put your money on because unless they land a million punches, you're not getting a lot of points. So I wouldn't put my money on that one. Alon Cruz versus Spike Carlisle. I believe Carlisle's the favorite in that, but I don't know much about him. Then Sean Bradley versus Ishmael Nardeev, and Nardeev is the favorite in that fight. So there you have it. Tomorrow night's card. So go quickly. Put your money on Ishmael. Put your money on Spike. Maybe not. Put your money on Cruz. I don't know. Put your money on Griffin. Put your money on Pena. Put your money on Spivak. Put your money on Allen. Put your money on, I don't know, Phelps, maybe. Put your money on Grant Dawson. Put your money on Megan Anderson. Put your money on Magomed. Put your money on Felicia. And put your money on... I put my money on Davison, but go ahead and put your money on Joseph. So those are my picks. Let me know how you do. I'll let you know how I did at the when I report it again. But yeah, it should be a decent night of fights. I mean, it's not a star card. There's not stars on it, but there's lots of heavy odds of favorites. But those always make good when you get some upsets and stuff like that. So maybe a new star will be born tomorrow. You never know. But yeah, that's all I got for you. April 4th, next Still Fist card. Gonna be a good one. Just the two fights on it already. I'm already excited about, and we're only gonna stack it with more fights. So, go to stillfistfight.com, get your tickets. I will be doing another podcast before the kickboxing event, and I know I mentioned it last time, but I'll mention it again this on my next podcast when the actual kickboxing and where the kickboxing will be. But yeah, I'm only here because of Still Fist. Keeps me in business, puts food on my table, puts money in my pocket, and I'll be doing an episode. I'll probably do another episode on Sunday night after the fights, or whatever. Yeah, it's the next day after the fights. But I don't know how many I'll be doing this next week just because it's my little girl's birthday, and I'm going to be doing daddy duties, taking care of that little princess, the love of my life. So yeah, forgive me if I'm not as active next week, but I'll try to do what I can. And I don't know what the next UFC card is, but I'm sure I'll do some stuff on that. But yeah, watch the fights tomorrow night. And until next time, be good to yourself, be good to each other. I love you.